Hey there, it's Simon Hurley from Clips, and I'm here at Scrapbook.com, and in this lesson I'm super excited to share how to use all the stamping techniques that I've shared in different types of mediums. So we have different art journaling here. Also, you can use it on scrapbook pages, and I'm going to share how to use it in planners too, and of course card making, which we've been sharing this whole class. So let's start off by sharing how to use stamping in planners. So for this one, I have one of the Webster's Pages planners, and I've just added some different stamps inside of here. One is a fun little ice cream cone, and then the other one says Happy Birthday. This is from a fun little Scrapbook.com set called Sweet Celebration. So you've got lots of different birthday kind of greetings in here or things like that. You could also use different stamp sets with little critters in them. This one says I love you this much. This is a Scrapbook.com set too. And there's lots of fun, awesome little critters you can stamp in here. Different Happy Friday sentiments, and little hugs as well. Now in this one, you also have a December stamp set, so it's got lots of Christmas things in here. You can stamp all these different little critters, maybe in your planner or your journal, and kind of stamp different little snowflakes or different numbers as well. Maybe you want to mark when Christmas is or different dates in your calendar. And you can even use these kind of sets all year round with the types of dates that you have on them. You can use these in your planners all year. And with this Webster's Pages planner too, it doesn't have any numbers in it, so it depends. You can start it whenever and just set up your calendar however you want to, depending on when you start it. So for this, I just stamped a fun little ice cream cone and Happy Birthday here using this fun little birthday set, but you can stamp this really anywhere in your planner. I'm going to grab just this fun little set here. I'll stamp this little turtle, and I'll just say with the hug sentiment here. Position this onto my page, and then I'll grab an acrylic block and pick up both of them at the same time. So I'm going to stamp both of these images at once. Now if you want to, another nice part about this planner is you can open it up here and take one of these pages out of the rings. Then I can take this page and work on it flat. So you can work on your different pages in your planner really easily by taking out the page. So I'm going to go in with some black hybrid ink from Scrapbook.com, and I'll stamp down this fun little turtle here. I'm just going to color this guy in with some bright distress ink markers. When you're doing it in your planner or things like that, I like to just scribble. You could definitely color the whole image in really super neatly, but I think this gives it a really fun little look. So I'll bring in this fun little teal color here. You can add some of that color onto his back, bring it onto his shell to add a little bit of shading too. So then we have that fun little turtle that's colored in. And you can even kind of highlight that little hugs below him or add a little shadow of ground. And there we have a fun little page in our planner. So we just made it a little bit more happy by customizing it and adding in some of our fun stamps. And you could do this through your whole planner on all the different pages that there are. And then all I need to do when I'm finished with my page is just put it right back in the rings and close it up. And you have that little customized page in your planner. And also, there are so many different planners for your needs. So if this one doesn't fit you, you can definitely choose a different planner that really suits your style and how you're going to plan out your weeks. Now, also, there are lots of different types of different notebooks and kind of journals you can do this in. So if you like more traveler's notebooks, there's definitely that as well. So we'll open this one up here. And you can see this is really fun. So it's got those little kind of elastic loops inside. This one is really awesome. It's got those black pages in it. So you could take fun little markers and go right into your black page journals and just kind of add that fun metallic shine onto there. Maybe do some lettering and write some really awesome stuff in your planner or traveler's notebook. These are super fun to kind of doodle or journal in and then add your stamping too. So you can use metallic inks or embossing in here to get some really awesome effects. And then there's even dotted pages where you can do some writing and practice that in here. You can even stamp in here as well, which is really awesome. And there's also some different fun options for varieties of journals as well. So these just have really nice little dotted pages. So again, you can practice your lettering if you want to in here. You can also do some stamping and coloring and get some really cool effects. I think stamping in all these books really customizes them and makes them your own. You can journal in here, but also add some stamping and personalize it too. So this one's really fun too. These have some kind of soft covers on them with some really cool kind of debossed designs in them. And then in here, again, it's that same kind of page with those pink dots on it this time. And you could do some lettering in here and again, do some stamping to customize it for sure. And of course, we can't forget about card making. I make cards all the time. And for this one, I just kept it really simple and focused all about the stamping. So here I took the triple thank you stamp set from Concord and 9th, and I just used this large thanks stamp and all of these fun little stamp sets that go along with it and coordinate with that sentiment. So I just lined up those fun little ones that coordinate along with it in gray all along the card. So it says you're a gem for that thing you did, and you're a peach. And they all coordinate with this fun thanks stamp set that I stamped right in the center there too. So you can really get some awesome effects. And this is just ombre stamping where I rolled the ink pads on the edges to get that fun blended effect. Now you can also use stamping in your art journals, and I think this is super fun. This isn't in the Diane Reilly Dylusions journal, but there's lots to choose from out there. And in this one, I just did some ink sprays in the background to kind of cover the background. I added some texture as well using some water, and then I stamped all these fun mermaid tails and stamped this fun little critter and colored him in. And then I used one of these fun snarky sentiments from Diane. And we're going to be creating this page today. So I'm going to flip to a new page in the journal here. I'll kind of fold it and break the binding just a little bit so we can kind of have it lay flat. And then I'm going to just kind of, to contain the mess, I'm going to grab 2 sheets of cardstock, and I'm just going to put those in the pages of the journal. And that'll kind of contain the mess of the spray and keep it from really getting onto other pages and other parts of the journal. So once I have done that, I'm going to grab some distress sprays. And like I said, there are lots of sprays on the market, but these are the ones I'm going to use today. I'm just going to shake them pretty well, and then I'm going to give them a spray right onto the surface. So you can spray kind of little pools of ink here and there. And then I'm going to spray some yellow down, kind of just filling in our whole background here with color. And then after you're done spraying these, I'll share kind of how to clean out the nozzles to make sure that they don't clog. So I'm going to fill in the rest of the page with blue, and these colors are going to really mix together. Since they're kind of the 3 primary colors, they're going to really mix together to create some new colors that look really fun on the page. So to clean off these nozzles, I'm just going to make sure that they're nice and well cleaned by just taking some paper towel and wiping off the sprayer. There's a little bit of resin inside of these, so to make sure to clean off of those will keep them from clogging in the future. Now, as I'm going here, if I see some color that's kind of pooling up in areas and I don't love that color, I'm going to go in and just kind of blot off some of that. And then, since these are kind of reactive with water and they still reactivate, I'm going to go in and brighten up and kind of move around some of that color with some regular water. And I'll go into the center and just kind of lift up some of that color that's pooling there. Then I'm going to go in with a heat tool since I'm a little bit impatient and heat dry this so we can move on to the next couple of steps. So once this is all dry, I'm going to take out these pages, and you could definitely use these for other backgrounds or die cut them because you got some really fun color on the edges there too, and you don't really want to waste that. So then moving on to the page, we got all this fun color layered down, and I used the sprays to lay this color down because it really just lays the color down fast and gives you a nice solid and bright layer before we move on to the next steps. Now to add a little bit more texture to this background, I'm going to go in with a fun Dina Wakley stencil here, and I'm just going to grab some sprays. I'll use the picked raspberry again here. I'll just go over top of that stencil to add a little bit of texture there, and then I'll bring this to the other side too, and I'll add some more texture on here with the reverse of that stencil, so you're not wasting any ink when you spray it. And I'm just going to take that excess ink and just wipe that off. And then I can go in here, and I'll even take another stencil here. I'll grab this one with a couple different words here, and I'll take it and spray it with some water. So this time I'm just going in with that plain water. And what that's going to do is it's going to react with the distress sprays that we added down. And it's going to kind of pull up some of that color. So it'll lighten and soften that color and give a really cool effect. So I've done a little bit of that on both sides here. Now we're going to wait until some of this kind of dries and sets in the cardstock. And I'll even bring back in my heat tool to kind of intensify that lighter color and dry up some of that color that we've added. So now once I've done that, I'm going to add some texture in with some stamps too. We kind of want to build up the background a little bit. And I love this fun little mermaid tail from Diane's set. This one's called Plenty of Fish in the Sea, and it's got all these fun little hand-drawn sea critters, which I really love. So I'm going to take this onto an acrylic block here. I'm going to go in and stamp this with some hybrid black ink from Scrapbook.com. This will make sure that it won't bleed. If we add more sprays or water on top, this black ink will stay put, which is really awesome. I'm going to stamp that down on the page here. And it doesn't matter if you miss a couple spots. This is just to add some texture in the background, so it doesn't have to be complete. You could even kind of stamp on the middle of the center, and then it'll kind of hang off to the other side of the page. And I'll even add one more little one with just the tail in. And I'll stamp that down onto this page too to kind of make it carry over into the other pages and kind of flow really nicely from one to the other. So to clean this stamp, I'm just going to grab my stamp chamois and I'll wet this to make sure I can clean off my stamp nicely. And that just pulls off all that ink really nice, and I'll stick that right back onto the stamp sheet then. Now I can go into here if I want to and take a little water brush, and I'll squeeze a little bit of water out. This is the Nuvo water brush. And I'm just going to squeeze a little water out on some of these tails. What this is going to do, again, since we used that distress spray beneath it, I'll let a little bit of time to sink in there. I'll do it even on this one too. I'm using lots of water. This will reactivate that ink underneath, and then I can go in and lift off some of that color. So it kind of lightens and whitens some of that spray and gives you a really cool effect. So I'll do the same up here. It leaves that color in there, but it just kind of brightens it a little bit and takes some of that color off the page. So I'll do it one more time to this one over here, and every other little tail there. It's all about, when you're doing art journaling and stamping and stuff, to really build up the layers to get lots of texture in here, and I think that looks really awesome. So once I'm done with that, I'm just going to go in and heat dry this one more time to make sure it's really nice and dry before we move on to the next step. Now for one last step, I'm going to go in here with this stencil from Dina Wakley. This is called the Best of Hearts, and it's got all these fun little hearts on it. I'm just going to go in here with some white pigment ink and again build up one more layer before we do our focal point. I'll go in here with this little ink dauber from Scrapbook.com, and all I'm going to do is just add little spots, little hearts of this white pigment ink. And I don't really fill everything in completely. I just kind of go a little bit random here. You can kind of fade out into nothing with the stencil, which is really fun. And you got those little hearts on there then too. So I'll bring this over to the other page, add a little bit of white pigment ink to bring in some of these hearts. Now for the focal point of this image, I'm going to use the Plenty of Fish in the Sea. And instead of using this big kind of octopus like I did on the last one, I'm going to use this fun little scribbled fish on the bottom to kind of change it up a little bit. And I love his little face there. So I'm going to just add this right onto an acrylic block. And then I'll grab some cardstock, and I'm going to again stamp this down in the Scrapbook.com black hybrid ink. This is just going to allow the ink to not move as I color it in. So when I'm doing this, I'm going to color in using these sprays too. I want all the colors to coordinate. So instead of bringing any markers in, I'm just going to spray this color down onto my Tim Holtz glass media mat. And this has a little white side so I can see the colors that I'm going to use. I'm just creating myself a little palette of color to choose from. And again, this really helps to kind of make the whole thing coordinate. I can mix and kind of blend these colors together, but it really keeps that same color kind of flowing throughout the background and the focal point image. So I'll grab my Nuvo water brush again. I'm going to take some of that color that we have, and this is really fluid. And I'm just going to do this on cardstock, so it's not even watercolor cardstock. I'm just kind of taking some of this color and blending that out. Doing some really quick coloring here. It doesn't need to be too detailed. You can kind of keep it really simple. And I love, again, how that scribbly look kind of comes together in these journals, which I really think is just awesome. And then I'll go straight into that blue, and I'm just going to take that color and finish off the fish's tail there. So now for this little puddle of color that we still have, we still got lots of color left here. So I'm going to spray down a little bit of water. And I'm going to grab just a piece of cardstock, and then I can dip this right into here. I can use this for maybe a die cut or something. This is just a regular piece of cardstock, but look, that's already a cool card background or a really cool project you can die cut out of it. Okay, so for the fun little sentiment and kind of saying on this, I love these sayings from Diane Reevely. This one's called Shut Up and Color, and these are just super fun kind of snarky comments you can put inside of your journal or even use some of these on the cards. I think they'd be really fun on there too. For this one, I'm going to use the cancel my subscription, I don't need your issues sentiment. I think that's really funny, and just these are really fun for the art journals. And I'll stamp this right down onto a piece of cardstock. This is the same white cardstock that I used to color my fish in, so it'll coordinate with that. So once I've stamped that down, I'm going to take this and my fish, and I'll cut right around these so I can add them right onto my art journal page. So to do this, I'm just going to use these big scissors from Tim Holtz and Tonic. Now for these sentiments, they're kind of split up into little hand-drawn strips here. So I'm just going to go right around those, and I'll cut those out. I'm doing it into little individual strips. You could definitely keep them together, but this allows me to kind of separate them and put them further apart on the page so you can kind of fill up some of that space. And then for this fish image, I'm just going to go right around the fish. You can leave a little bit of a white border, and I think that helps the image to kind of stand out against that background. For this, I'm not going to make it super even. I'm just going to kind of cut right around the fish and leave a little bit of a border. I think it's kind of matches the style of the stamp. It's really nice and hand-drawn and kind of sketched. I don't think anything really has to be perfect. So I've cut out these images with a little bit of a white border around it. It's a little jagged, but I kind of like the look of that. And then I'll bring back in my art journaling page, and I think I'm going to add this time the fish on this side, and then I'll throw down the little cancel my subscription, I don't need your issue sentiment. So I'm just going to do this with a little bit of liquid adhesive. This is the Nuvo Deluxe adhesive, so this will dry clear. And I'm just going to add this down onto the back of the fish, just adding a light coat of glue there. Then I'll place this one kind of upward here. And to help this dry, I'll just take my acrylic block and just take the large one and kind of rest it on top of that, and it'll hold down your piece as it's drying. Then I'll take my sentiment, and I'm just going to put this one down. I'll kind of put it at an angle. You can kind of spread out the sentiment. And I'll wipe off some of that excess glue there. And then I'll move the acrylic block over to this side to kind of dry that sentiment and make sure that it's going to dry nice and flat on the card. So once I'm done, this is what my page looks like. I kept it pretty simple, but I love that fun background with all the texture in it and the super bright colors that we used. And that fun little hand-drawn fish and the little sentiment on here too really finishes off the page and adds a lot to it. So now you can see how you add your stamping in your art journal to get some really awesome texture on there and to create your focal image as well. So thank you so much for joining me along in this lesson, sharing how to stamp in different types of mediums. So you can stamp in art journals, of course, card making, then we have the planners here, and scrapbook pages are really fun to add stamping in too. So I hope you guys will have fun stamping on all of your different projects, and I cannot wait to see them in the gallery. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video and want to see more from Scrapbook.com, please like, share, subscribe, and leave a message. Happy crafting!